All right, so today I'm going to talk about threading a small Janome top loading machine like this. There's so many models that Janome's made, but there are a lot that look like this. It doesn't have to be this same one. This one's a DC 3018, but there's plenty that have this format, which is top loading here. You got a horizontal spool pin. Your pretension is here. So we're just going to go over that so that you understand why you want to do it a certain way. And it's very important to make sure that you do thread it top and bottom correctly for the best performance. All right. All right, we're going to wind a bobbin, make sure we have one ready to go. So you're going to follow your directions on here. The dotted line is for winding. Solid line is for sewing. As you can see, it comes off the spool, over the spool cap, goes underneath this little pretension button for the winder, just like that. And then on this machine, we're going to want to trim it off. Since we don't have a cutter or anything over here, like some machines do, we're going to put the thread up through the hole in the bobbin, like this, as you can see. And you're going to put it onto the winder. Click it into place. Now, some machines are going to have a clutch release, which you'll have to do. This one is automatic. Once you push it over, it activates a switch, which deactivates your clutch. That way the needle won't go up and down when you're winding. And so in this type of machine, you just kind of hold it in place, and we're going to have to plug in the foot control here. And you're going to hold on to that thread until the winding overlaps on top of it to hold it in place. And that's good. And then you just come in before you do any more winding and trim off that excess so that it doesn't get wound up inside the bobbin. And you don't want it to curve over the edge of the bobbin, because that can disrupt it while it's operational, while it's sewing. All right, so we'll continue with that. I'm going to wind a partial bobbin, essentially just enough for our demonstration here. I'm not going to do a full bobbin. That's probably good enough. All right. And then we'll move on to threading the upper thread. We're going to start up top. This is your spool pin here, horizontal spool pin. You'll put your thread on there. You want to use the spool cap that's made for the machine. You also want to use the spool cap that has a larger diameter than your spool of thread. The thread will come off the spool and it will ride up against the spool cap and not the edge of the spool. A lot of spools of thread have little sharp imperfections on them, and the thread can get caught on that, and that can bend your needle momentarily and cause damage, poor stitching, and other things. So you want to make sure that you always have a spool cap that is not terribly larger, but definitely larger so that the thread transitions into the machine smoothly. I'm going to put that on, and the spool cap. All right. Now, the next thing you're going to do is go under the pretension. It's going to snap into place like that. Okay, you can follow the diagram. They usually have a diagram on these machines, especially Janome's, where the solid line will be for threading for sewing, and the dotted line you can follow for winding your bobbin. Okay, so this is your pretension. This thing up top, as you can see in the picture here, is only for winding your bobbin. You don't want to put it around that. The pretension, if you snap it into here, that's going to give it a little bit of drag, like pretension, and that will help straighten out any kinks that are in the thread as it's exiting and entering the machine. It will also give it a little bit of tension that will add to the overall tension. Then we're going to go down and make a U-turn right at the bottom here. This is labeled number 2. Inside of here is the check spring. The check spring kind of takes slack out of the line. It's spring loaded, and it helps with tightening up the stitch. So you want to make a U-turn down here and then come back up to the top. This is where a lot of people miss. You have to get it into this take-up lever. This is very important. This is what pulls the stitch, the thread back up tight against the fabric, and that will form the stitch. If you don't do this, your machine will jam in just a few stitches. So we're going to go up, we're going to click it into this take-up lever, and as you can see, the take-up lever, it's like a little hook, and it's got a little retaining clip there. You got to snap it past that down into this circle area. All right. Then it has a hold of the thread and it's not going to jump out. All right, now we're going to bring it down here toward the needle. On this machine, there's a little thread guide. Most of them have it. You want to make sure that your thread gets in there. So it goes into there, and then there's always a little thread guide right on the needle clamp itself. Make sure it gets into here because this is what holds the thread close to the front of the needle. Now on this machine there is a needle threader that we can use, but on other machines there won't be, and you'll have to thread it yourself, and you'll want the thread to go from the front toward the back. So you're going to drop this down like that. Now once you got the thread going in the front of the needle toward the back, you always want to get it inside of the foot. Usually there's a little slot either on the front or the side, and you want the thread to go down through the foot and toward the back of the machine, and that's all you need to do for the top thread. But all of those steps are important. All right, now we're going to take the bobbin that we wound earlier, and we're going to put it in the bobbin case. Now most bobbin cases will have, at least on modern machines, will have a little diagram on there to show you how to insert it. If you notice, the thread is coming off of the left side of that bobbin, not over here on the right. It looks, this in this machine, it kind of looks like a P instead of a Q if it were coming off this side. Okay, so that means it's going to look like this. We're going to put it in, and there's a reason. On all sewing machines, doesn't matter if it's front loading, side loading, top loading, you always want the thread to be changing direction as it's exiting the bobbin. That's very important. If you don't, the bobbin can overspin and then jam up. You always want there to be no slack in the thread. So when we put it in, we want to go in between these little metal plates. If I can zoom in there so you can get a better look at it. See if it'll focus. Okay, very good. So there's an entry right here, and it goes in between those plates. Then you pull it over so that it's all the way in, and you'll see I'm going to be pulling to the left, and it's rotating toward the right. That means it's coming off the spool and reversing direction, going the other direction. All right. You also want to make sure that you're using the right bobbin. These machines, most of these top loading machines, especially Janome machines and similar ones and Brother and Baby Lock, they're all going to use 15 class bobbins. It's really important that you know which one that your machine uses and use the correct one. It should be listed in your manual. All right. So now that we've got that going on, we're going to go back up here. We had your thread going through the presser foot. You're going to take this and you're going to hold on to it. I'm going to back up slightly here so you can see what's happening. All right, and you're going to take the hand wheel that's on the side of your machine and you're going to rotate it toward yourself. That's going to advance your hook and the needle bar. Holding on to that top thread, you will see, so you can watch it. Watch the bobbin thread and the top thread. I don't know if you saw it, the top thread swung around and grabbed the bobbin thread. You can pull it up like this through the foot. Now it's right there. They're both above the needle plate. You pull on them until you see the bobbin thread here and the top thread here. Put them both through the foot and toward the back of the machine, just like that. Now if I pull, you'll see the bobbin is turning and thread is also coming off of the spool on top. And that's everything you need to know to thread them. At this point, you would just put your fabric under here, lower your presser foot, and away you go. If you miss any of those steps, it can definitely jam. Hopefully that's helpful. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments section and I'll do my best to answer. But yeah, there you go. Until next time, take care.